Good morning and welcome to the South Carolina Public Service Commission. It is Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025, and it is approximately 10 a.m. We're here today on docket number 2025-3-E, the annual review of base rates for fuel costs of Duke Energy Carolinas, LLC. First, in the hearing room, we have Commissioner Belser, Commissioner Britt, Commissioner Caston, Commissioner C. Williams, and I am Delton Powers. Vice Chair Williams is on military leave, and Commissioner Thomas is on annual leave. Ms. Wessinger, would you please read the docket and explain today's proceedings?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. As the Chairman mentioned, the hearing before you this morning is in docket number 2025-3E. It does concern the annual review of the base rates for fuel costs of Duke Energy Carolinas, LLC. The Clerk's Office of the Commission scheduled this hearing and was noticed to be held today, March 18th, 2025, was noticed on March 18th, 2025, to be held today, September 23rd, beginning at 10 a.m. Mr. Chairman, upon inquiry of all participating counsel for the parties of record, they are present and available upon your call for appearances. The docket is ready. However, after you call the docket open, Mr. Chairman, there is one preliminary matter that needs to be addressed and will be addressed by the Office of Regulatory Staff.
Thank you very much. Would the parties then at this time please introduce themselves, beginning with the company?
Good morning, Chair Powers, members of the Commission. My name is Katie Brown. I'm in-house counsel for Duke Energy Carolinas. Here with me this morning is my co-counsel, Lyle Trawick from Robinson Gray.
Thank you very much. Clean energy users.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Scott Elliott. I represent the energy users in this docket.
All right, welcome. And for the Office of Regulatory Staff.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I'm Chad Torrey of the ORS, and I'm joined today by Ms. Claire Benge and Mr. Tom Philopoulos.
Thank you very much and welcome. Who is going to address what we need to address?
Mr. Chair, if I may briefly.
Certainly. Thank you.
Again, good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. On September 9th, 2025, ORS filed in this matter a stipulation between it and the company. The stipulation resolves all issues the Commission must decide pursuant to the fuel statute, South Carolina Code annotated section 5827.865. Mr. Chair, I would ask that the stipulation be marked for identification and entered into the record as the first hearing exhibit.
The stipulation will be marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And this is a stipulation, not an agreement with all parties.
That is correct. It is a stipulation.
Mr. Elliott, let me address you first. Have you had an opportunity to participate in this case ahead of time to be involved in any negotiations?
Mr. Chair, the answer to that question is I was not invited to negotiate on the stipulation. It was entered into and presented to me as a fait accompli. Second, I don't understand it to resolve all issues in the docket. I think that was the suggestion made by Mr. Torrey a minute ago, and I think there are issues that remain undecided. Third, I think the stipulation would result in a 7.75% rate increase or something of that magnitude to my clients, and so I see no point in conceding it after these parties have entered a stipulation, and I would ask the Commission to put Duke to its proof.
All right, and you will certainly have an opportunity to cross-examine, present anything you'd like.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. First, as the stipulation with the company, did you feel it was fairly negotiated and had ample opportunity to negotiate this case?
It does, Mr. Chairman. And if I might, I'd like to address
Sure.
the I guess, insinuations there. We circulated this to Council for the Energy Users Committee over 2 weeks ago. Yes, it was signed, and we've asked for his position. Certainly, we believe the settlement negotiations are sacrosanct and confidential under Rule 408 of the South Carolina Rules of Evidence, but since we're kind of going there now, we've heard nothing and followed up, and we're informed that he intended to object. Regretfully, we don't understand what the basis for the objection is despite asking. And the Energy Users hasn't filed pre-filed testimony in this matter, hasn't submitted any discovery or propounded any discovery to the company or the ORS, didn't state what its position would be in the petition to intervene. And, you know, we feel like the General Assembly together with the Commission have really set forth a very procedurally sound process for the parties to get their positions out there and to ensure procedural fairness and due process are baked into that. And so, you know, if it was too early to state a position and petition to intervene, certainly we feel like today, morning of the hearing, I think it would behoove the parties and the Commission for us to know what the grounds for the objection are. But we were certainly willing to listen to anything. We've heard nothing from the Energy Users Committee, and, you know, that's sort of where we are. But I did want to clear the record on that. There was never any indication that, you know, this is take it or leave it. But no engagements were made, and when we asked for additional information, none was provided.
All right. Well, I've known Mr. Elliott since law school, and he's a good lawyer and an honorable man. Are you ready to proceed?
We are, and I don't mean to suggest otherwise. He's my cross-street neighbor, and I think very highly of him. But, you know, I did want to reflect the record for my client and ensure the Commission understood the state of play, if you will. But we are prepared to proceed.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
Certainly.
Since this is a stipulation between two parties and not all parties, when the statement is made, it resolves all issues, is it not implied that it resolves all issues between those two parties and not necessarily all parties to the case?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. ORS, do you understand Mr. Elliott's position,
Yes, sir, we do.
and you're ready to proceed?
We're ready.
Do you feel like the stipulation was entered into freely and voluntarily and is in the best interest of all that you represent?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, Mr. Trawick.
It won't be me first. Ms. Brown is teeing us off.
All right, Ms. Brown.
Good morning. The company would first call Mr. Jim McClay and Mr. Jeff Flanagan to the witness stand.
Gentlemen, if you would raise your right hands, please. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Mr. McClay, would you please state your name for the record?
Jim McClay.
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm the Managing Director of Natural Gas Trading at Duke Energy Corporation.
How long have you worked in the energy industry?
I've worked for 27 years.
What is your educational background?
I have a bachelor's degree in business administration, majoring in finance from St. Bonaventure University.
Could you briefly describe any roles that you have held that are relevant to this proceeding?
Sure. Since joining Progress Energy as an energy trader in 1998, I've worked in various power trading and natural gas procurement functions and leadership roles, including Director of Power Trading, Portfolio Management, and Manager of Gas and Oil Trading. Following the merger between Duke Energy and Progress Energy, I was named Manager of Gas and Oil Trading for Duke Energy. In May 2019, I was promoted to Director of Trading, and in August 2021, I assumed my current position as Managing Director of Natural Gas Trading.
Please describe your current responsibilities at the company.
As Managing Director of Natural Gas Trading, I participate in all aspects of the overall strategic direction and commercial management of the purchase, delivery, and storage of natural gas for Duke Energy. That includes monitoring and providing guidance in various areas of fuel markets, including feedback regarding supply and demand, price, availability, economics, and deliverability of both existing and future supply sources. I also supervise the company's physical natural gas procurement and associated transportation activity, including negotiation and administration of long-term, short-term purchase contracts, as well as the company's associated financial hedging programs. In addition to natural gas, I also supervise procurement of fuel oil, optimization of emission allowances, and the power trading and hedging functions for Duke Energy Midwest Utilities.
Thank you, Mr. McClay. Chair Powers, based on Mr. McClay's extensive experience, I move to qualify this witness as an expert in the fields of gas and oil trading and fuel hedging.
All right. Any objection, Mr. Elliott? Any objection from ORS? Thank you.
Thank you.
He'll be qualified as an expert.
Mr. McClay, did you prepare or cause to be prepared 12 pages of direct testimony that were pre-filed in this proceeding?
Yes, I did.
If I asked you the same questions that were asked in your pre-filed direct testimony today, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Chair Powers, I would ask that Mr. McClay's pre-filed direct testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony, Mr. McClay, will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you. Mr. McClay, did you also prepare or cause to be prepared 2 exhibits that were attached to your pre-filed direct testimony?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes to those exhibits at this time?
No, I don't.
I would ask that Mr. McClay's 2 direct exhibits be entered as the first composite hearing exhibit.
The pre-filed exhibits of witness McClay identified as McClay 1 and 2 are marked for identification and will be placed in the record as exhibit number 2.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Mr. Flanagan, would you please state your name for the record?
Jeff Flanagan.
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm the general manager of Carolina's Dispatchable Generation West Zone, including Marshall Steam Station, Allen Steam Station, Asheville, W.S. Lee Combined Cycles, the Asheville, W.S. Lee, Lincoln, and Mill Creek CT stations.
What is your educational background?
I graduated from North Carolina State University with a Bachelor of Science in Paper Science and Engineering and a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry. I also have a Master's in Business Administration from the University of South Carolina.
Please briefly describe any roles that you have held that are relevant to your testimony in this proceeding.
I began my career with Duke Energy as the flue gas desulfurization scrubber engineer at Progress Energy Carolinas. I have held various roles of increasing responsibility in generation projects, engineering, and operations. I was named the general manager of Marshall and Allen Steam Stations in July of 2021, and I assumed my current role in February of 2023.
Please describe your responsibilities at the company during the review period.
I'm responsible for the overall direction and management of over 5,000 megawatts of Carolina's dispatchable generation, coal, combined cycle, and peaking generation. I provide strategic direction and leadership to the station general managers, including the day-to-day operations, business analysis, process development, and capital budget allocation and implementation and outage performance. I'm also responsible for operational excellence at all levels of the organization, including continuous improvement and competitive benchmarking.
Based on Mr. Flanagan's extensive experience, I move to qualify this witness as an expert in the field of traditional and renewable plant operations.
All right. Any objection, Mr. Elliott? No objection. ORS? No objection. He will be qualified as an expert.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Mr. Flanagan, did you prepare or cause to be prepared 10 pages of direct testimony that were pre-filed with the Commission in this proceeding?
I did.
If I asked you the same questions that were asked in your pre-filed direct testimony this morning, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
I would ask that Mr. Flanagan's pre-filed direct testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony, Mr. Flanagan, will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Mr. McClay and Mr. Flanagan are available for questions from council and the Commission.
Thank you very much. Mr. Elliott.
My questions will be for you, Mr. Flanagan. You can stand down or.
Good morning.
So as I understand your testimony, you're the manager of the gas trading department, essentially, correct?
Yes.
And I think you've done that since 2009, roughly.
Yeah, roughly. Okay.
And for my purposes this morning, I understand that your roles include the purchase and delivery of natural gas and physical natural gas procurement. You have other responsibilities, but
Yes.
those are among them. And also, if I understand not only your testimony, but your Exhibit 1 to your testimony,
Yes.
you have responsibility for natural gas supply and utilizing a portfolio of long-term, short-term, spot market, and physical on-call option agreements.
Physical options, yes.
Physical, yes, sir. And also short-term and spot purchases conducted on an ongoing basis to supplement term natural gas supply.
That's correct.
All right. So I'd like to understand a little bit about Duke's gas purchasing sort of generally. So would you describe what long-term, do you buy gas long-term? Do you have long-term contracts for gas?
We have some.
And describe those, please, generally.
Right. So when we say long-term, it's greater than a year.
A year?
Greater than a year.
Greater?
Right. And we have guidelines that we can purchase actually out to 5 years, and if we want to go further, we can do that. So what we do is we have basically a forecast that we get, long-term forecast, and part of that forecast, we conduct RFPs for natural gas at certain locations, Zone 5 South and Zone 4 on Transco in particular. We also we're layering in purchases as we have contracts that could roll on and off. Those are physically delivered. We use NASB agreements for those. They're firm. We don't have an interruptible. Majority of our purchases are delivered to Zone 5. We have approximately 450,000 of firm transport from Zone 4. So majority of it is, like I said, delivered to Zone 5. We also have short-term RFPs when we need, let's just say, some extra winter, winter volumes, and we try to mix up the various products because we need a lot of flexibility because the burns move around quite a bit. We have dual fuel units that can burn up to 600,000 a day, and sometimes they're on gas, sometimes they're on coal. We have several combined cycles, so we have to buy base load. And then we have monthly take or release, which gives us the option at the beginning of the month to purchase monthly at index. We mostly buy at index, probably 100% is probably at index, and we use hedging to fix that.
All right, so
that helps.
That helps. Some questions.
Okay.
Zone 5, does that impact your customers here in South Carolina?
Yes, Zone 5 South on Transco is the delivery point. That's correct for a majority of our gas.
And these long-term contracts, do you have some in place today?
Yes, base load, yeah.
And did you have some in place during the what I call the review period in this case?
Yes, we did.
All right. And then short-term, describe the duration of these short-term contracts.
Basically under a year.
All right. So long-term
could be a day.
Could be a day?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you buy day-ahead gas?
Sometimes.
All right. I think you testified that some of your short-term purchases are for a month's duration. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes.
Would you describe that, please?
Okay. Well, first of all, they're at an index, right? Everything we purchase is at an index. In other words, it's not fixed price until the month before it settles at either IFERC, which is the index for that location, which includes NYMEX plus a basis to that location. So Zone 5 South is, as you know, a premium market. Or it could be NYMEX based with a basis. And that's fixes the price for that whole month. So we receive a certain volume at that price for 30 days.
All right, sir. Now, the let's use the long-term gas. So you commit to the long-term contract, but the price is not set until the month before delivery?
That's correct. Sometimes it has a fixed basis attached to it.
So when you buy it long-term, you might anticipate one cost, but when the month before it's delivered, you might be forced to take it at a different cost.
No, well, I mean, that's in the forecast, right? The cost is baked in there, and you have a volume of what you need. And then as we roll through time, right, the forecast changes, right? So the demand could go up or down, and that's why we layer in also. So the long term, if you think about it, we're burning, let's just say, a BCF and a half. Tomorrow, 1.8 BCF, right? Out of that, probably the fixed portion is somewhere around, when I say fixed, the monthly portion or the long-term portion, base load portion, whatever you want to call it, is a portion of that, right? So somewhere around, I won't give exact numbers, but maybe up to a BCF, right? So we know that's coming in. The price itself, we bought it based on the forecast, right? Because it does an economic dispatch. We have stochastic forecasts that give us the mean, that give us the P90, the P25. So we're purchasing towards the mean. And then as we go through time, we get closer to the month of delivery, then we may buy a little more if we need it, or we could rely on our daily call options, or we call on a monthly. So it all depends on the demand right before the month. We have better weather, we have a better forecast, we have a lot more information than we did 3 years ago.
But again, my basic question is when is the price set on the long term? Is it set when you buy it, or is it set the month before it's delivered?
The month before. That's an index. That's standard.
Right. Okay.
And as a matter of fact, there's not a lot of fixed price purchasing long term anyway. That's first of all, the credit of the producers isn't very good, and there's too much margin that could change hands back and forth where it's not necessary. If we all agreed for an index, then we know what it is right before the month.
That's fine. Great. Did I ask you about spot? Do you buy gas on the spot market?
You did, and sometimes we do.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about sort of gas prices and the market, if we may, and understanding that I'm probably the lowest common denominator in the room. I would appreciate it if you'd sort of dumb down your explanation for my benefit. So you buy gas, the price is in some measure, and perhaps large measure, tied to supply and demand, correct? A function of supply and demand.
Yes.
And if the supply is great and the demand is low, then the prices are lower than if the supply is low and the demand is high, correct? All right.
For the most part, or if it's raining out and there's low demand, you're right, yeah.
And so just generally speaking, the cost of gas in the summer months when you're generating electricity and people are running their air conditioners because the temperature is high, are gas costs usually higher in these summer months when you're generating and the
No.
air conditioners are running?
No.
So the gas cost could be the same in the summer months as in the shoulder months?
Yeah, could be.
Okay. If you have a unusual situation like Winter Storm Elliott, I think you were in your role during December of 2022,
Right.
were you not? Didn't that cold snap then affect gas prices?
Oh, yeah.
And so explain how it affected gas prices.
Well, first of all, yeah, it was cold everywhere. So it wasn't just cold in North Carolina, right? So the LDCs, right, who supply gas to industrials and customers like us, they were using their transport. So the pipelines were at capacity. And then so if you think about all the different utilities taking care of their own, everybody had to buy gas, or for us, we have lots of options, right? We have nuclear, we have coal, we have gas, we have hydro. We have a lot of different options, right? So we're not just relying on gas prices. And when gas prices exceed a certain point, we have oil too. So we have a lot of diversity, right? So, so that was over Christmas. Christmas was a holiday weekend, right? So I believe on the 22nd was probably a Friday, if I'm not mistaken, but the trading occurs on a Friday. So when we buy on a Friday, you have to procure for Saturday, Sunday, markets aren't open. Monday is a holiday, and Tuesday. So you have a 4-day weekend. So whenever we go into any kind of 4-day weekend, whether it's Martin Luther King Day and some of the various other ones, on top of that was very cold weather coming in gradually that we had some visibility into, but the timing and the amount of wind and things like that, you kind of don't know until you get there. So the market, especially on a holiday weekend like that, has a tendency to go up, right? And it goes up abnormally because there's a lot of B traders on. So everybody also wants to buy and go home, right? So that's another contributor to higher pricing. So you have the demand, you have the weather, you have the weekends, you have the holiday, you have a 4-day, which normally you're only buying for Saturday and Sunday and Monday. So you have all those together, plus abnormally extremely cold weather coming in. So that's what drove prices up, right? That's kind of the crux of it. And we all have a lot, market has storage, it has things like that. But over weekends and holidays and just in general, there's also variable load variations for each day as well. So you're purchasing for, everybody has to look at their forecasts over 4 days, and we know how forecasts are. Day ahead are pretty good. Second day, third day, fourth day, they have a tendency to break down a little, right? So you're purchasing what you think you need for those 4 days. And by the way, those 4 days, we had plenty of gas.
And
No issues.
But supply and demand basically, the constrained supply and the high demand cause prices to increase, correct?
Yeah, and the weather and those other factors I mentioned.
Now, as I understand it, and you've testified to this, but just generally, you're required in this proceeding not only to inform the commission on your actual fuel costs, I think in through May for y'all, but then you have to provide a forecast going forward for the remainder of the review period. And so, as I understand it, among the things that you might do as a part of this forecast is to try to identify what the fuel prices would be going forward. Correct?
Well, we don't really predict it, right? We take the market, where it is at in the market, and that's one of the inputs to the forecasting tool, to our economic forecasting. So at a certain time, my team provides the price of where NYMEX, where it is, like, for instance, right now it's at 380 for wintertime, and then also provides basis for various locations that we buy gas at. So it would be Zone 5 South, and that's also Zone 4. So yes, we provide those. That goes into the forecasting model.
All right, and it seems to me, and I'm not looking for you to disagree, but it seems to me that Duke does a very clever thing, because according to Ms. Clark, y'all convene a fuels and fleet analytics team monthly to look at your forecast for the next month. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, we do get a forecast for the next month on about somewhere around the 20th with more updated information.
Right.
That's correct.
And to your point earlier, you got a much clearer look 15 days before the month in question than you might.
Yeah, for the most part,
yeah.
But 30 days, 40 days out is still pretty murky.
All right. And do you recall, are you a part of that team? Of that fuels and fleet analytics team?
No.
Is your office part of that team?
Well, we get the output from that team.
All right. And so, if I recall correctly, what that team would have seen back in the middle of December of 2024 was that January 2025 was looking like a reasonably normal month as far as weather is concerned. Do you recall that?
Yeah, I mean, we always count on every month being cold in January and February in the winter. So, yeah.
And so, my question is, as a result of the fuels and fleet analytics team, did you decide to purchase any January gas into that month?
Yeah, we did.
And how much did you purchase?
I don't know. I can't recall offhand, but we did. We bought extra.
All right, and but as a practical matter, Duke was undercollected for the month of January, nonetheless. Correct?
Undercollected. I don't know. It's in accounting.
Do you understand that? That
you're saying that it costs more than what we anticipate in the forecast?
Yes, sir.
Than actuals?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes.
You understand that?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And had you bought more gas ahead of January than you did, could you have blunted that under collection in January?
I doubt it. We had adequate amount of gas.
Well, if you were buying...
I said we bought more at the beginning of the month, right? And we had adequate amount of gas, and we had our tools, like our daily calls, to get to where we need to be.
But if that month was unusually cold, was it not? January 2025?
Actually, there was a week there that was pretty cold, around the 13th to 17th. And where prices exceeded gas prices, we ran oil, right? But we're not predictors of prices. We buy for reliability, and we hedge. Sure, our hedges made money that month, but you can never be 100% insulated, right, from price spikes. But that's why we hedge.
Well, and Ms. Clark's testimony will reflect that you understood there was some risk. Duke understood there was some risk. But there's such a thing as a physical hedge where you buy gas going into a month at a reasonable rate. Isn't that correct?
There are physical hedges, and you have to remember that there's two sides to that coin. You can buy what's called physical hedge with basis, and we have some of that. But there's been plenty of months where we went in and prices during the month, for a week they might have been higher, but for the next 20 days or 25 days, they were substantially lower. So you're also, the other side of that coin is you have a loss not because you're paying more money, but because your hedges have settled, the actual hedges have settled lower than the market. So, by going in and just guessing is not what we do. We have, we make sure that we can cover the load. We have a variety of products, right, that gives us that flexibility. Because also when something happens in the market, 2 degrees colder or whatever it is, which could be 600 megawatts, that we can respond because they lean on the gas a lot of times. Now, like I said, if we don't have the gas, or if gas goes out of the money, then we run oil because that's more in the money. But that's sort of how it works. It doesn't, you should guess before going into the month and buy more gas and hope that it's cold and prices go up. That's not how it works.
Well, and I've looked at your file. You don't strike me as the kind of guy that guesses, and that's not my point.
Yeah.
My point is that it would have been a safe risk to buy more gas at the then price in December.
With hindsight, I'll say it could have been a little better.
Well,
hindsight.
Well,
we
as you said,
operate in that world.
It's always cold in the wintertime, isn't it?
And we had enough for more than our load, up to the 100% of our. When we buy to over the 90th percentile. So for the wintertime, so we're well prepared with gas.
And you understand that.
And we have storage too.
You understand that in this proceeding, that if your prices are unexpectedly high for fuel, your ratepayers have to pay them anyway. You understand that, don't you?
Of course.
Don't have any further questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. ORS, any questions?
No questions.
Thank you, Mr. Torrey. Commissioner questions? Commissioner Belson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, gentlemen. Mr. Flanagan, I just want some clarification on a statement that you just made. You said when we buy more than the 90th percentile. I'm sorry, Mr. McClay.
It's okay. That's all right.
Apologize. I'm looking here and knowing you just testified. Can you explain that further for me?
That's right. So before we go into the month, we have a forecast, and we have what we have, and I just had it yesterday, is a setup period where we're setting up for the following month. So all the traders, we have our latest forecast. We also have a tool that we could use that basically includes, it's the forecasting tool, but it's also manipulative. So you can actually change variables on it on different prices. And it gives you the percentile of what the burn would be. So if we put all the inputs in, we have 3 burns, a P90, a mean, and a P25 comes out. And if we change a variable, or if we do something, put an extra outage in that's not included in the forecast, that forecast will change. So normally when we set up, we look at all of those factors, and we look at the P90, the mean, and the P25.
Does P90 mean 90
It's the highest,
percentile?
yeah, it's 90th, so 90th percentile. So 90% of the time, you will cover your load with that. That will be the burn that will happen 90% of the time. So in other words, it's a higher number. In other words, the burn will fall within that expected burn at the 90th percentile. So we make sure we have enough flexibility to get up to that 90th percentile, and sometimes a little higher. So we have the flexibility. In other words, for example, if we set up for the month and we made sure we had a BCF baseload of gas, and the 90th percentile was 1.5 BCF, we would have enough calls, daily calls, to call on to get an extra half a BCF the next day without having to go into the market. So that's how we set up. We'll set up to 90th percentile, be able to hit that number using our daily calls, knowing that if we need even more, if it's economic, we would go into the market. But oftentimes when prices spike like that, the economics of the system, of the forecast, will tell you, hey, that gas is too expensive. You're going to be burning something else, or we're going to, more economically. So that's what the 90th percentile is.
Well, why not just plan to do 100%?
Yeah. Well, we could, in some cases, go to the high, but you have to remember too, it's all about flexibility, because days like today, let's just say we're burning 1.8 BCF. Over the weekend, we might be burning 800,000. So you don't want to have a bunch of gas coming in at one time the whole month, because you can't manage that. It's Zone 5 South. We're a player, and there's maybe a couple other handfuls of players. It's not liquid enough. So we have to build in that flexibility with the different products, have base load, monthly take or release, some daily calls, so that we can be flexible enough. And if we have to, we'll sell in the market. But think about this every day. If we bought 100% just coming in the door, all of our competitors would know every day, if when the price goes down, we're selling 700,000 of gas in the market. It's just not deep enough for that. So that's why we have to sort of plan for the month. We do it every month. We're consistent, and that's worked out very well for us. Okay. And we had plenty of gas when, during Elliott, that was not an issue, and that's what we planned for. That's how our planning's worked out, and that's using stochastics, getting away from that deterministic forecast that gave you one number for the month. At least your guardrails, and that's how we set up. We do that from long-term planning standpoint.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Belster. Commissioner Caston.
Thank you, and good morning.
Good morning.
First, I thought you were talking about P90X, and I said, surely not.
Your favorite
But
word.
you look fit. You could be.
Know about that.
Hard predicting, I know. In thinking about that, I guess the last part of that response to Commissioner Belser, it sounds like, the company would be limited in purchasing, say, more for a month or beyond that month because of the, I guess, getting it there or storage or what's the limiting factor there?
The only limiting factor is managing the gas when you buy so much and you don't burn it. That's where we have, some months we buy to the mean, which is the average burn, and that's fine. And we have a certain amount of what we call baseload that comes every day, and we just want to be flexible enough to manage the swings. And we do a great job, and we have a lot of tools. We have a lot of different products. Intraday products, day-ahead products, storage, many things. And we can buy as much as we want. That's usually not a limiting factor. And it'll be even better once we get more firm transportation. So,
Well, that last part was what I was curious about.
Right.
I read, I can't remember if it was your testimony or someone else's about the Mountain Valley Pipeline. While it doesn't come to the Carolinas, it, I guess, reduces bottlenecks or issues upstream, which helps, I guess,
right.
the delivery.
That's right. So, Transco is a very large pipe. They set a new record this year in January, I believe. So when it is busy and when it is cold, they are, it's a constrained pipeline. Gas doesn't flow freely north and south. So you need, we have no problem buying delivered gas. That's using someone else firm transport. But firm transportation is what goes through those bottlenecks and gives you access to less expensive gas and, different receipt points that are, Appalachia gas or down in the south. So, which is less expensive than Zone 5.
I learned a lot in the past 5 years. I thought water was complex going through pipes, but you guys do have a challenge there. That said, if the company could say, we want these well, I guess in gas you call them transmission lines, distribution lines. What additional transmission lines or lines do you need?
Yeah,
if you could say, we want these to go in now.
There's teams that study the economics of transmission, and actually the executability and of obviously transmission is very complex, and I'm not the expert, so I do not know the answer to that. So,
well, I should have added that caveat if construction was not an issue, but sounds like you still don't know.
I do not know.
Finally, a couple things. I noticed, on page 6 of your direct testimony, you talk about the delivered cost per ton of coal, down 6% from the prior review period, correct?
Yes.
And on page 9 and 10, you talk about the delivered coal cost per ton for the billing period, which
right.
I don't remember exactly. I think that was November to October or something. And if I did that math right, I guess what the company is projecting is a 14%, right at 14% decrease in that cost. Is that correct?
I didn't do the math, but I'll trust you. It's gone down. It'll from the review period from last year all the way to next year. Yes, there's a substantial decrease in the price of coal.
And you had various, wisely so, comments, how things could change.
Yes.
But what one thing or two things has occurred, do you think, to make that significant reduction in cost?
Right. So one is the coal burn in DC has, we have 3 coal units that are dual fuel. So if we're burning more gas, we're burning less coal and less demand. And the market in general, last year, there was, came out of storage very healthy. Prices were very tame. I think there were 3 months that were under $2. It settled in IMEX. So there was just a lot more gas burning than coal. So there was fuel switching going on, more gas at those plants. And those plants can burn up to 600,000 a day, which is a substantial amount. And that's one reason. And the other reason is, as we move forward through time, our contracts that were done, during COVID and other times when it was more expensive are rolling off. So you're starting to get to that normalized pricing. And that's another reason, because, commodity prices coming down, we have some contracts rolling off. So you're getting the benefit. Customers are getting the benefit of that right now.
So is that saying, or do you anticipate that the, I guess, price normalization or cost normalization is getting closer to maybe where things will be, should be?
As you know, that everything is volatile, but the one thing in the coal industry that still exists is the inability to ramp up. The elasticity of, if you need more coal, everyone goes to the market and drives the price up. So that elasticity issue and delivery, and the fact that it's not a just-in-time commodity like gas, that could, drive it higher if you get more demand. The other thing is the producers are still seeing production costs increases. And what I mean by that is labor. It's hard to get people that want to work in coal mines. The coal mines in the east are underground, right? In the west, they're surface mining. So you're asking more people to not drive Amazon trucks and work in the coal mines. And that's difficult to get people to do that and stay there. And railroads have sort of similar problems with their schedules. So that's that could be a driving an upward push in the future if that could be if you see a demand. So, but for the time being, we seem to be at a good place here.
Thank you, Mr. McClay and Mr. Flanagan. I hope your feelings aren't hurt that no one seems to want to ask you.
Thank you.
No more questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Caston. Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Good morning. Easy question. Where is Zone 5 and where is Zone 5 South, and why is that the primary user of gas?
Right. So our city gate, as they call it,
right?
Okay, is in Zone 5 South, and it's an index location. So there's a lot of deliveries there, and they come up with a price. And we're there in Zone 5 South. It's in North Carolina. Piedmont's there. It's just south of the Virginia border, closer to Davidson, I think.
Okay.
And then the north is in Virginia. So there's an artificial line there that there's a Transco constraint where gas cannot flow south at that point. So what you wind up having is a lot of the production and the storage that's up in Zone 5 North and Zone 6 up near New York. There's lots of that gas is sort of trapped there until firm transportation, Southeast exchange, that project is done. You'll be able to release some of that, and prices should get better.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Any further commissioner questions? Ms. Brown, any redirect?
Very briefly. Mr. McClay, do you have the benefit of hindsight when making fuel procurement decisions for the company?
No, we don't. I don't.
Do you think the company's natural gas procurement practices during the review period were reasonable?
Yes.
Has any party to this case offered into evidence different natural gas procurement practices that the company could or should reasonably employ?
No.
Do you believe that the company, through its natural gas purchasing practices, made every reasonable effort to minimize fuel costs on behalf of its customers during the review period?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Thank Thank you. Mr. Elliott, anything in reply based on that? ORS, anything in reply based on that? And commissioners, anything? All right, gentlemen, you may step down.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The company would next call Ms. Kiva Hibbert and Ms. Wendy Fleener as a panel. Ms. Hibbert will testify about the DER methodology, and Ms. Fleener will testify about the company's customer programs implemented pursuant to Act 236.
Ladies, if you would please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Hibbert, would you please state your full name for the record?
Kiva Hibbert.
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed by Duke Energy Business Services, LLC, as a rates and regulatory strategy manager.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared 7 pages of pre-filed direct testimony that were filed with the commission in this proceeding?
Yes, I did.
If I asked you the questions that were asked you in your pre-filed direct testimony on the stand today, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Chair Powers, I'd ask that Ms. Hibbert's pre-filed direct testimony be entered into the records if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony, Ms. Hibbert, will be entered in the records if given orally from the stand.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Hibbert, did you also prepare or cause to be prepared one exhibit that was submitted with your pre-filed direct testimony?
I did.
Do you have any corrections or changes to that exhibit at this time?
No, I do not.
Chair Powers, I'd ask that Ms. Hibbert's pre-filed direct exhibit be entered as the next hearing exhibit.
The pre-filed direct exhibit of Ms. Hibbert, identified as Hibbert 1, will be marked for identification and placed in the records as exhibit number 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Fleener, would you please state your full name for the record?
Wendy Fleener.
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm the Director of Clean Energy for Duke Energy Corporation.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared 5 pages of direct testimony that were pre-filed with the commission in this proceeding?
Yes.
If I asked you the same questions in your pre-filed direct testimony, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd ask that Ms. Fleener's pre-filed direct testimony be entered into the records if given orally from the stand.
Right. Ms. Fleener, you can pull those microphones closer if you want to.
Or I can maybe scoop my sharp. Is this a little better?
Okay. The pre-filed direct testimony, Ms. Fleener, will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The panel is now available for questions from council and the commission.
Thank you very much. Mr. Elliott, do you have any questions? No questions. All right. ORS, any questions?
No questions.
All right. Commissioner questions? Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Good morning. My questions, at least initially, are for Ms. Fleener. On page 4 of your pre-filed testimony, you talk about the DEC shared solar program status, and you talk about implementing a manual customer enrollment process to fill the remaining capacity. Do you anticipate that it'll be fully subscribed?
Thanks for that question. So our intent is to make best efforts to do so. So as mentioned, as part of the manual enrollment process, we're currently working through that and looking to have it enrolled to the best of our ability by the end of the year.
And can you talk some about the low to moderate income customers that are at 78%, while the standard offer is at 91%?
That's correct. So as part of the approved program, there is an application fee as well as some initial fees as part of the program. So that was waived on some initial participants for the IQ portion of the program. So once we're able to implement a manual process, we will be looking to enroll more IQ customers, though we do anticipate that could be a challenge. You know, for that customer segment, that would be the equivalent of $60 is what it is today for DEC to do that upfront to participate in the program.
And do you have other plans to try to enhance low to moderate income enrollment?
So, again, we do have folks either that have transferred throughout the state. So we're looking, once we have the manual process, to reach back out to them, or a waiting list. But again, being transparent with them, it does require the $60. So we had explored if there had been things under the IRA with, as an example, Solar for All, if there was an opportunity for funding to help with that. But based where we are currently, that money is really off the table. So we'll just have to kind of see. But we do have planned, continue to reach out. So whether it's email, website, et cetera, to see what we can do.
Okay. Thank you for the updates. No further questions.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Belson.
just for clarity of record, Ms. Fleener, you used the term IQ. Would you define that for us, please?
Income qualified.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Belson. Any further commissioner questions? Any redirect?
None from the company, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you, ladies. You may step in.
Chair Powers, the company would next call Mr. Stephen Capps and Mr. Matthew Cameron as a panel. Mr. Capps will testify about the company's nuclear power plant operations, and Mr. Cameron will testify about the nuclear fuel procurement practices.
All right.
If you would raise your right hands, please. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Mr. Capps, would you state your name for the record?
Stephen Capps.
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm the Senior Vice President of New Nuclear Development and Operations Support for Duke Energy Corporation.
How long have you worked in the nuclear industry?
Over 38 years.
Can you describe your educational background?
I earned a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from Clemson University, and I've completed the Institute of Nuclear Power Operations Senior Nuclear Plant Management course.
Please describe any roles you have held that are relevant to this proceeding.
I began my nuclear career as a field engineer at Oconee Nuclear Station, and then I served in a variety of engineering, operations, and leadership positions at Oconee before transitioning to the engineering manager position at McGuire Nuclear Station. At McGuire, I was eventually promoted to plant manager and was named vice president of McGuire in 2012. I was named Senior Vice President of Nuclear Corporate for Duke Energy in 2017, and I became Senior Vice President of Nuclear Operations over the South Carolina plants in October of 2018. And then I assumed my current role in July of 2025.
Can you describe your responsibilities at the company during the review period, which was June 1st, 2024 through May 31st, 2025?
I was responsible for providing executive oversight for the safe and reliable operation of Duke Energy's 3 South Carolina operating nuclear stations, and I was also involved in the operation of Duke Energy's other nuclear stations, including the McGuire nuclear plant in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina.
Chair Powers, based on Mr. Capps' extensive experience and educational background, I move to qualify this witness as an expert in the field of nuclear power plant operations.
Any objections? Any party? No, sir. All right, he shall be qualified.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Mr. Capps, did you prepare or cause to be prepared 13 pages of direct testimony that were pre-filed with the commission in this proceeding?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
If I asked you the same questions that were asked in your pre-filed direct testimony here this morning, would your answers be the same?
Yes, ma'am.
I would ask that Mr. Capps' pre-filed direct testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony, Mr. Capps, will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand.
Mr. Capps, did you also prepare or cause to be prepared 3 publicly filed exhibits that were attached to your pre-filed direct testimony?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Do you have any changes to those exhibits?
No, ma'am, I do not.
I would ask that Mr. Cap's 3 publicly filed exhibits be entered as the next composite hearing exhibit.
Is there also a confidential one of them?
I was going to go into that next.
Okay.
If that's okay.
The pre-filed public exhibits known as CAPS Exhibits 1 through 3 are marked for identification, placed in the record as Exhibit number 4.
Mr. Capps, did you also prepare or cause to be prepared 1 confidentially filed exhibit that was attached to your pre-filed direct testimony?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Do you have any changes to that exhibit at this time?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Chair Powers, I would ask that Mr. Capps' confidentially filed exhibit be entered into the record as the next hearing exhibit and then it remain under seal pursuant to order number 2025-87H.
The pre-filed version of CAPS Exhibit number 3 will be marked for identification and placed in the record as Exhibit number 5. The confidential version shall remain confidential unless or until Commission rules that such information is not entitled to protection from public disclosure, or if the requesting party agrees that such information is no longer confidential or proprietary.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Mr. Cameron, would you please state your name for the record?
Yes, Matthew Cameron.
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I am the manager of nuclear fuel supply for Duke Energy Carolinas LLC and Duke Energy Progress LLC.
What is your educational background?
I have a Bachelor of Science degree in nuclear engineering from Purdue University and a master's in business administration from Wake Forest University.
Please describe any prior roles that you've held that are relevant to your testimony in this proceeding.
I began my career with the company as an engineer in the company's safety analysis group. In 2012, I assumed the lead for purchasing uranium and conversion services. And then in 2022, I assumed responsibility for purchasing uranium, conversion services, enrichment services, and fuel fabrication.
What are your current responsibilities at the company?
I am responsible for nuclear fuel procurement for the nuclear units owned and operated by DEC and DEP.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron. Chair Powers, based on Mr. Cameron's extensive experience and educational background in matters related to nuclear fuel and nuclear fuel procurement, I move to qualify Mr. Cameron as an expert in the field of nuclear fuel procurement.
Is there any objection from any party? No objection. He'll be qualified as an expert in nuclear fuel procurement.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Mr. Cameron, did you prepare or cause to be prepared 8 pages of direct testimony that were pre-filed with the Commission in this proceeding?
Yes.
If I asked you the same questions that were asked in your pre-filed direct testimony this morning, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
I would ask that Mr. Cameron's pre-filed direct testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony, Mr. Cameron, will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Cameron, did you also prepare or cause to be prepared 2 exhibits that were attached to your pre-filed direct testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any changes to those exhibits?
I do not.
I would ask that Mr. Cameron's pre-filed exhibits be entered as the next composite hearing exhibit.
The pre-filed exhibits of Mr. Cameron, identified as Cameron 1 and 2, are marked for identification and placed in the record as Exhibit number 6.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Mr. Capps and Mr. Cameron are now available to answer questions from Council or the Commission.
All right, Mr. Elliott, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Torrey, any questions?
No questions.
Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Caston.
Thank you, and still morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go Tigers, huh? In your testimony, you talked about, I guess, a concrete masonry building. I don't know if it's reinforced concrete or what, but water leakage and caused an electrical fault. I'm assuming all that was corrected. I mean, you got rid of the fault and you fixed whatever caused the leakage.
Yes, sir. I would characterize it as in progress. So immediately after having the issue, we essentially put a protective cover over the switch gear that was affected. It's inside, but we put a frame and a cover over it. So if there were leakage, it would not get on the switch gear.
Well,
And then the masonry wall, we have sealed to the extent you can seal masonry. And then by spring of next year, we'll put a metal skin over the wall such that water intrusion will not be possible.
You answered everything I think I was going to ask, because I was trying, I don't have a clue where this is, but I was thinking, now, what happened? I mean, was this like in some low area? I don't think you would do that. I know masonry, if it's not coated right, no, it's not waterproof. So this is like an internal structure, and there was something above it that leaked, or?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Caston, the actual switch gear that got water on it and faulted is inside a service building. So it's inside a building at the plant. But adjacent to that room, there's a stairwell and an elevator. So there's an elevator shaft. And if you go to the top, to the roof above the two rooms, the top of the elevator shaft sticks up out of the roof, and it has concrete masonry walls. And it's not protected intentionally, but it's kind of protected on three sides by other structures, other buildings. But on one side, it's kind of an open path down the roof to it. And in this particular case, during the hurricane, we had the water and we had the wind coming down the open part of the roof. And over time, it saturated the masonry wall, and then it just pushed water through the wall. It ran down the inside of the wall, down a beam, and off into the switchgear room.
I get it. I understand. Any similar designs at other plants? Or?
Yes, sir. We have looked. We have two other similar locations at Catawba that we have also mitigated, but no other similar areas at any of the other 5 sites that we operate. So we have looked at all of them from an extent of condition perspective.
Okay, I was just curious, and no greater teacher.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Caston. Commissioner Belser.
Thank you. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Mr. Capps, with regard to that tripping of the from Hurricane Helene with the water.
Yes, ma'am.
Did the NRC make a finding on that manual, or was it a manual trip? Did they make a finding with regard to that?
I do not recall for certain, Commissioner Belzer, but I don't recall an NRC violation or finding as a result of that issue. Okay. I mean, the operators took prudent action for the conditions that they had with the loss of the cooling tower fans.
Well, I reckon my question is more along the lines of, if when the NRC does an inspection, they make a finding or do a violation, they create a report. And like if it's at another facility similar to this one and y'all see that report out there, you would check your facility to make sure that it may not happen at your facility. Is that not correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So I reckon my question is, if this was an issue, was it broadcast to other plants of the same design?
Yes, ma'am. It was. So there is an
not just on Duke, but to other companies.
Yes, ma'am. There is an industry process where there's a defined list of things. A reactor trip is certainly one of them. A power reduction greater than 20%. There is a list of things that if at any nuclear facility in the United States it happened, we submit a report to the industry that says, here's what happened, here's why it happened, here's what we learned from it, so that we can all collectively benefit from that.
So even if the NRC doesn't do an investigation, make a finding or a report, you self-report to
Yes,
the
ma'am.
industry?
Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
we do.
I did not realize that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Belser. Any further commissioner questions? Ms. Brown, need to redirect.
No redirect, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we're going to take our morning recess now at this point. It is 10 after. If you could return by 11:25 and we'll start back. We're in recess. Good morning again. We are back on the record on docket number 2025-3E. The company, Duke Energy Carolinas, still has witnesses to present, and I will turn it over to Mr. Trawick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The company with last call, Ms. Sigourney Clark and Ms. Lauren Champa to the stand as it testifies a panel. Ms. Clark will testify about DEC's actual costs during the review period, and Ms. Champa will testify about the DERP issue.
You would raise your right hands, please. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Clark, would you please state your full name for the record?
Yes, Sigourney Clark.
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I am a Rates and Regulatory Strategy Manager supporting Duke Energy Carolinas.
And did you prepare or cause to be prepared 21 pages of corrected direct testimony that were pre-filed with the Commission in this proceeding?
I did.
If I asked you the same questions that were asked in your corrected pre-filed direct testimony, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd ask that Ms. Clark's corrected pre-filed direct testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony of Ms. Clark will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Clark, did you also prepare a cause to be prepared 14 exhibits that were attached to your corrected pre-filed direct testimony?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or corrections to those exhibits at this time?
I do not.
Mr. Chairman, I'd ask that Ms. Clark's 14 direct exhibits be entered as the next composite hearing exhibit.
The pre-filed direct exhibits of Ms. Clark, identified as Clark exhibits 1 through 14, are marked for identification and will be placed in the record as exhibit number 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Champa, would you please state your name for the record?
Lauren Champa,
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
Duke Energy Corporation, as a Customer Services and Experience Manager.
And did you prepare a cause to be prepared 8 pages of direct testimony that were pre-filed with the Commission in this proceeding?
Yes,
If I asked you the same questions that were in your pre-filed direct testimony today, would your answers be the same?
they would.
Mr. Chairman, I'd ask that Ms. Champa's pre-filed direct testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony of Ms. Champa will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The witnesses are available for questioning from counsel and the Commission.
Mr. Trawick, I noticed that there were corrected exhibits.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and they were filed with the corrected pre-filed direct testimony on August the 20th.
Okay, and that would be what exhibit 7 is?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions, Mr. Elliott?
Ms. Clark, just a few for you, please. Ms. Clark, is it your testimony that the industrial customer increase associated with the Duke and ORS stipulation will increase rates by 7.7%?
That is correct.
And Ms. Clark, you testified about the company's fuels and fleet analytics team. Do you recall that?
I do.
And as I understand it, I understand the context of it in your testimony with respect to the timing of your testimony filing, but it seems to me to be a good process. And as I understand it, this fuels and fleet analytics team meets monthly.
That is correct.
And as I understand it, the purpose, or among them, for the meeting is the fuel procurement team would benefit with respect to the subsequent calendar month gas scheduling and coal transportation planning. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
Now, I'd like to draw your attention, if I may, to one of your exhibits. If you'll indulge me. I think it's the first one, but let me find it. Yes, let me draw your attention, if I may, to your exhibit, corrected Exhibit 2, page 1. Are you there?
Yes.
All right. And let me draw your attention, if I may, to the months of December 2024 and January 2025 on that schedule. Are you there?
I'm there.
All right. And so, do I understand from your exhibit, which is in the record as a part of your testimony, that that the actual undercollection for December 2024 was $45,360,000? Overcollection was $45,360,000.
You're looking at December.
Yes,
line
ma'am.
51.
Yes.
Yes.
So an overcollection, let me be clear, of $45 million. And do I understand from the exhibit that the undercollection for January 2025 fell to $2 million?
That is correct.
And so that the undercollection essentially for the month of January was in the neighborhood of about $43 million. Would that be correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Clark, you are aware that that your company and Progress and Dominion file monthly fuel reports. You're aware of that, aren't you?
Yes.
And these monthly fuel reports look an awful lot like your schedules, so I trust that you play a role in producing these monthly fuel reports. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Now, I'm going to draw your attention to the December 2024 fuel report, and you won't have it. I'm going to show it to you, and I've got a copy. I'll show council. By letter dated January 31, 2025, the company filed its December fuel report. Let me show you what I've got. This is the letter, filing legend, and I'm going to draw your attention to Schedule 4, page 2 of 4 pages. Do you see this?
I do.
All right. I'm going to show it to your lawyer.
Okay.
All right. Indulge me, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Clark, do you recognize the January 31, 2025 Duke correspondence as being the December fuel report?
I do.
All right. And I've drawn your attention to Schedule 4, page 2 of 4 pages. Do you see? And I've highlighted for your convenience only a couple of months. Do you see that?
Yes, thank you.
There are lots of months. You can talk about lots of months after I ask my questions if you like. Y'all don't have the benefit of this, and it's 100 pages, so I printed a few pages here. Ms. Clark, have you had a chance to look at page 2 of 4 pages of Schedule 4?
I have.
All right, let me draw your attention to the December 2024 actual overcollection figure. Do you see that?
Yes.
And is it not $45,360,000? I can't read it. $45 million, about $360,000.
Yes, it is.
And that is consistent with the figure that I showed you a moment ago on your exhibit to your testimony, correct?
Yes.
Very close. Now let me draw your attention to the January 2025 forecast. Do you see that line?
I do.
So when you submitted this document to the commission in January of this year, you were explaining the amount of overcollection Duke expected after at the end of January 2025. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's what that forecast is.
Mm-hmm.
And Duke was expecting an overcollection of, and y'all, I'm sorry, about $36 million. Isn't that correct?
That is correct.
But in the final analysis, the actual overcollection fell from $45 million in January to $2 million, correct?
That's correct.
And that was even after the gas procurement panel had the benefit of the fuels analysis team meeting in December, correct?
Yes.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Any questions, Mr. Torrey?
No questions.
Commissioner questions? Hearing none, you may step down. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Williams.
I was just late on the draw. Thank you for letting me squeeze in. Ms. Clark, I wanted to ask you a question about your independent auditors and what they found in looking at these reports and during their review. Is there anything pertinent to this particular proceeding that would be helpful to us to know?
Absolutely. I discuss in my testimony, I believe it's on page 19, that I submitted corrected testimony and exhibits through the course of discovery. ORS identified a few items that needed adjusting, and the company felt it was appropriate to correct the record. So we submitted corrected testimony and exhibits. And the most important thing to note there is that out of all the discussions and adjustments, there were no changes to any of the rates that we're seeking here in this case.
And does any of that happen internally as well as what happens via ORS?
Absolutely. So one of the items that we identified in my adjustments section, it's actually on page 20, was self-internally identified. We were doing internal reporting on the interest expenses that we were allowed to collect through the 2022 fuel proceeding, and it wasn't lining up directly with our internal reports. We're not lining up one for one with my exhibits. And so we identified that there was a double counting of some expenses in the last proceeding, and that's why you'll see an adjustment of $660,000 put forth for our South Carolina customers in this proceeding.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Caston.
Thank you. And Ms. Champa. You had it. That's it. You got it. In your direct testimony, you talk about the DERP incremental billing area and I guess the change to the billing system that was made, and that the companies, you're monitoring that. Have you anything new you've discovered from the monitoring? Is it functioning the way it's supposed to now? Or?
That's correct. The last report I had was a couple weeks ago, and it is still operating as expected.
And that was just simply making an adjustment, or tweaking something in the program of your billing system.
So for the long-term solution for this issue, it's an automated process. We essentially changed some programmatic coding in our billing system that will automatically make sure we are not overcharging the DERP charge to accounts anymore.
So you continue monitoring it to see if it's still functioning properly.
Correct. We're going to monitor this through the end of the year to make sure that we've worked out any of the kinks in that programming change.
Okay. And, you know, I don't know a thing about your program, but it seems like once you got something adjusted and it's set up, it just seems like there shouldn't be any fluctuations or anything that goes haywire. But is that too bold a statement for me to make?
That is the expectation. Yes, we just want to make sure we are taking all precautions to ensure this is correct.
I thought so. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Caston.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Belser.
Thank you. I want to follow up on the dirt too. You indicated recently 130 additional accounts were flagged as having been, I'm going to use the word overcharged, but I understand what we're talking about there. Is that correct?
That's correct. Those accounts were overcharged while we had the interim solution in place, which was the manual process where a person needed to query the system and then further take action to remove the dirt charge from the account before it billed. And unfortunately, with the timing of that manual process, those accounts were missed.
And you provided some language of a bill message that was going to be sent or is being sent. Tell me how long that message is going to go out.
So that bill message went out when we made the adjustments to customers' accounts. It is not a permanent bill message that's going to remain on the bill. It was there when a customer could look at their bill and see the credit for the overcharge and then an explanation for what that was for.
Okay, but of the 4,300 plus 130 accounts that you, is Duke fairly certain that's all of them?
That's correct.
Okay. The reason I asked about the bill message is my understanding is there was some sort of, in the Duke Energy Progress case, there was going to be some communication going out that allowed until like end of February, I think it was, to ask for a refund. Is something similar needed in the Duke Energy Carolinas?
So there is not something similar needed for Duke Energy Carolinas because the orders for DEP and DEC are very different, or not very different, but there's a eligibility criteria of having contiguous premises in DEP. DEC does not have the contiguous premise language. So that language for DEP was only applicable to DEP accounts.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any further Commissioner questions? Any redirect?
Ms. Clark, the forecast that Mr. Elliott showed you earlier, was that based on our 2024 filing?
That's correct. So it's important to note that the forecast that Mr. Elliott was mentioning, that was forecasting January, was actually the one that we used in our 2024 fuel proceeding. So it was 6 months prior.
Okay. And does the company rely on a mid-month forecast in December 2024 to inform its forecast for January 2025?
As far as fuel is concerned, for the annual filing, we do not.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
As a result of that, any questions, Mr. Elliott?
No, sir. Thank you.
ORS?
No questions.
Commissioners? All right. Thank you, ladies. Mr. Trewick or Ms. Brown, that would be all your witnesses.
That concludes the company's direct case. Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
I've allowed them to step down. Would you like them excused?
Yes, without waiving our right under Act 41 to recall and reply if necessary.
All right.
Thank you.
Any objection to that at this time from any party? All right. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
May I ask the commission to take judicial notice of the January 31, 2025?
Could you get on the microphone, please? You can sit down.
Thank you. Apologies.
No problem.
May I ask the commission to take judicial notice of the January 31, 2025 correspondence from Duke Energy signed by Ms. Brown informing the commission of the December fuel report. This was testified to by Ms. Clark in this proceeding. It was filed in this docket on January 31, 2025. I ask you to take judicial notice, please.
Ms. Brown, any problem with that?
No objection from the company.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Office of Regulatory Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. ORS calls the panel of Anthony D. Brazino and Jeffrey A. Gordon.
Gentlemen, if you'll raise your right hands, please. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Good morning, gentlemen. Mr. Brazino, I'll begin with you. Would you please state your name for the record?
My name is Anthony D. Brazino.
And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed by the state of South Carolina as the Deputy Director of the Audit Department for the Office of Regulatory Staff.
And did you prepare or cause to be prepared direct testimony consisting of 17 pages pre-filed in this proceeding on August 26, 2025?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes, edits, or corrections to your direct testimony?
No, I do not.
If I asked you the same questions today as those posed in your pre-filed direct testimony, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Mr. Chair, I'd move the direct testimony of Anthony D. Brazino be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Brazino will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Mr. Brazino, did you also prepare or cause to be prepared 8 exhibits marked as ADB1 through ADB8 that accompanied your direct testimony?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or corrections to any of your exhibits?
No, I do not.
Mr. Chair, I would move that exhibits ADB1 through ADB8 be entered into the record as the next composite hearing exhibit.
The pre-filed exhibits of witness Brazino identified as ADB 1 through 8 are marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 8.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Brazino. Mr. Gordon, would you please state your name for the record?
Jeffrey A. Gordon.
And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed by the South Carolina Office of Regulatory Staff as a regulatory analyst in the Energy Planning and Emerging Technologies Department.
And did you prepare or cause to be prepared direct testimony consisting of 10 pages pre-filed in this proceeding on August 26, 2025?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes, edits, or corrections to your direct testimony?
No, I do not.
If I asked you the same questions today as those posed in your direct testimony, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Mr. Chair, I'd ask that the pre-filed direct testimony of Jeffrey A. Gordon be admitted into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Jeffrey Gordon will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Mr. Gordon, did you also cause to be filed with your direct testimony one exhibit marked as JAG1?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes, edits, or corrections to your exhibit?
No, I do not.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that Mr. Gordon's exhibit JAG1 be entered into the record as the next hearing exhibit.
The pre-filed exhibit of witness Gordon identified as JAG1 is marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 9.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Mr. Chair, the panel is available for questions.
All right. Any questions from the company? Mr. Elliott.
Mr. Brazino, just a few for you. Mr. Gordon, none for you. Do you understand, Mr. Brazino, that the stipulation entered into by the ORS and Duke Energy would result in a 7.7% rate increase on the industrial customer class?
I can't speak to the rates, but that is my understanding.
Great. And now let me draw your attention to 2 of your exhibits. First, Exhibit 1, ADB1.
Okay, I'm there.
All right. Please describe what this exhibit depicts.
This exhibit shows the cost of the fuel that is consumed for electric generation for coal, oil, natural gas, and nuclear for the review period.
Thank you. Let me draw your attention, if I may, to the January 2025 figure representing the cost for fuel. And does your exhibit show that the total cost for January of 2025 was $264,350,462?
Yes.
Now, let's step back to December of 2024, and let's compare or contrast these costs. And is it your testimony and does your exhibit show that the fuel cost for December 2024 was $170 million and some change, correct?
Yes.
January was 264 million and some change, and December was 170 million and some change, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now let me draw your attention to your exhibit and your testimony, the fuel figure for February 2025. And is it not your testimony, and does your exhibit not reflect the fuel costs for February 2025 were $160,786,125? Is that correct?
Yes, that's what this shows.
And if we contrast the February cost of $161 million generally with the January cost of $264 million generally, about $100 million difference for those 2 months, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now let me draw your attention, if I may, to your Exhibit 3. Your exhibit ADB3, what does this exhibit reflect?
This exhibit reflects the details of the computation of the over and under recovery balance that is shown for every month of the review period.
Thank you. Now, drawing your attention to December 2024, if I may, does your chart and does your testimony reflect that the overcollection as of the end of December 2024 was $45,360,023?
That's correct.
And that's consistent with Ms. Clark's testimony and her exhibit, isn't it?
That's correct.
And drawing your attention to January 2025, does your exhibit reflect, and is it your testimony, that the overcollection shrank to $2,073,979? Is that correct? Did I read that correctly? I can barely see it. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So the undercollection for the month of January, according to this exhibit, was approximately $43 million. Is that correct?
And some change, yes.
All right. Thank you. I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Any redirect?
No redirect.
Anything further from commissioners? Commissioner Williams.
Mr. Berzino, just kind of big picture wise, what, and looking at the cumulative over and under recovery balances, what do they mean? What does this mean for ratepayers?
I can't speak to what it means to ratepayers as far as rates go, but when you look at my Exhibit 3 at the bottom, you will see what the cumulative balance of each of the components are as of the end of the review period for May 2025. So majority of these are in an over collection status at the end of the review period.
Thank you. Yes.
Any further commissioner questions? All right, now is there any redirect based on that?
No redirect.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, ORS calls the panel of Omari R. Thompson and Brandon S. Bickley.
Come forward, gentlemen.
You would raise your right hands, gentlemen. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Good morning, gentlemen. Mr. Thompson, I'll begin with you. Would you please state your name for the record?
Omari R. Thompson.
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed by the state of South Carolina as a regulatory analyst in the Energy Operations Division by the Office of Regulatory Staff.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared direct testimony consisting of 14 pages pre-filed in this proceeding on August 26, 2025, in both confidential and public disclosure versions?
Yes.
Do you have any changes, edits, or corrections to your direct testimony?
No.
If I asked you the same questions today as those posed in your pre-filed direct testimony, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I'd move the direct testimony of Mr. Thompson be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand, and that the confidential version of his direct testimony remain under seal with the commission.
The pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Thompson will be entered into the record as given orally from the stand. The confidential version of his testimony shall remain confidential unless or until the commission rules that such information is not entitled to protection from public disclosure, or if the requesting party agrees that such information is no longer confidential or proprietary.
Mr. Thompson, did you also prepare or cause to be prepared 5 exhibits marked as ORT 1 through ORT 5 that accompanied your direct testimony?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or corrections to any of your exhibits?
No.
And Mr. Thompson, your exhibits do not contain confidential information, correct?
That is correct.
Mr. Chair, I would move that exhibits ORT1 through ORT5 be entered into the record as the next composite hearing exhibit.
The pre-filed exhibits of witness Thompson identified as ORT1 through ORT5 are marked for identification and will be placed in the record as exhibit number 10.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Mr. Bickley, would you please state your name for the record?
My name is Brandon Sinclair Bickley.
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed by the state of South Carolina in the Office of Regulatory Staff as a manager in the Energy Operations Division.
And did you prepare or cause to be prepared direct testimony consisting of 9 pages pre-filed in this proceeding on August 26, 2025?
Yes.
Do you have any changes, edits, or corrections to your direct testimony?
No.
If I asked you the same questions today as those posed in your direct testimony, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Mr. Chair, I would move that the pre-filed direct testimony of Brandon S. Bickley be admitted into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony, Mr. Bickley, will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Mr. Bickley, did you also cause to be filed with your direct testimony 8 exhibits marked as BSB 1 through BSB 8?
Yes.
Do you have any changes, edits, or corrections to your exhibits?
No.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that Mr. Bickley's exhibits BSB 1 through BSB 8 be admitted into the record as the next composite hearing exhibit.
The pre-filed direct exhibits of witness Bickley identified as BSB 1 through BSB 8 are marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 11.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Bickley. Mr. Chair, the panel is available for questions.
All right. Any questions from the company? Mr. Elliott.
Mr. Thompson, a couple for you. Mr. Brazino's charts were so stand up. I asked him the question about the rate increase to my clients, and I noticed from your testimony, I probably should have saved that for you. Can you confirm that according to the stipulation in this matter that the rates will increase for industrial customers by 7.7%?
Yes.
Now let me draw your attention to the last page of your testimony, lines 1 through 4. Although the stipulation does not speak to the quarterly forecast, is it your testimony that you believe that a quarterly forecast to all interested parties of the expected fuel factor to be set at the next annual fuel proceeding based on historical over and under recovery to date and forecasts of prices for uranium, natural gas, coal, oil, and other fuel required for the generation of electricity is still in the public interest?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Williams?
Mr. Thompson, Mr. Elliott just asked you about that quarterly forecast based on historic over and under being shared with the parties and whether that was in the public interest. Is that a part of the stipulation?
I can't speak to the specifics of the stipulation. Maybe my colleague, Mr. Bickley, might want to add.
Commissioner, while that's not in the stipulations, my understanding it'll be put in the proposed order. Similar to what was done in the DEP case recently.
Okay. Okay. And Mr. Bickley, what does the generation mix tell us generally about the company's reliance on nuclear, coal, natural gas, and renewables?
So just to confirm, Commissioner, you're looking at BSB 7 exhibit?
Well, and your discussion on page 6 of your testimony. Just a general overview.
Be happy to, Commissioner. So in general, and I think it'd be good to point out that these numbers are averages. So they're averages of the numbers taken for each month and then an overall average for the year, or at least the review period year, 12-month period. Really, these numbers just show, on average, what type of fuel the company was utilizing in those given months. And so we just like to display that as an observation to show what was used.
And any comment on how that's changing?
We do actually sort of look at and trend how that changes over time. I think actually since I started in 2019, I've seen in general coal decrease. I've seen natural gas increase some. So we do look at, say, what happens with all the different fuel sources. And like I said, we trend that just to look and see if there are any jumps, any spikes, or anything that stands out that we want to look at further.
And anything we ought to be looking out for in the future?
Nothing really comes to mind as far as, like I said, we show this for an observation, and we do trend this internally, again, to look at what's used, if there are any fluctuations. And like I said, we do a deep dive. Maybe if I give you another example, under hydroelectric, that can change based on your rainfall, your rain during the year. So we pull DNR's actual rainfall report. And so we will look at their climatology report that was done for that year and see what was rainfall, not just for the state as a whole, but individual areas in the state too. How does that impact the hydro units? We'll also take a look at that in North Carolina as well. Because again, for hydro, rainfall matters a lot. So just as one example on this chart, that's sort of one of the in-depth looks that we do.
That's interesting to know. On page 7 of 9 of your testimony, you talk about kind of fuel cost and plant-by-plant basis and cost differences amongst units. And what I see is the lowest average fuel cost at about 53 cents at Oconee and the highest at 5 cents at the Rockingham station. Can you describe kind of any conclusions that you all came up with after looking at that?
Yes, Commissioner. And that refers to, when you're looking at page 7, that's also referring to my exhibit BSP-8. So in general, ORS will review economic dispatching, which is utilized by the company. We'll take samples during the test year and review to ensure that compliance was made with not only the company's processes and procedures, but with economic dispatching in general. So we'll look at those samples, and if we find any issues, obviously we follow up on them. We didn't identify any issues during the review period. And then my exhibit BSB-8, again, more for an observation purpose, but also to display the data for the commission to see. As you pointed out, shows what is generally the most expensive fuel type and fuel source and where it's coming from during the review period, down to the most expensive. Now, this list isn't 100% inclusion of every unit in the company's entire fleet. We just display the larger units and the larger producing units during the review period so as to sort of condense and simplify the information.
We appreciate that.
Yes.
But we appreciate the deep dive as well.
I hope I answered your questions, Commissioner.
Yes. And Mr. Thompson, or either of you, what do you think the key fuel market trends are from your analysis? And
Key fuel market trends. Could
right.
you? Not sure I understand the question.
It's just a broad question to let you kind of opine on.
Okay.
To us on where based on the data, where you think where there could be impacts in the future, and how the company manages their fuel.
Right. So on pages 8 and 9 of my direct testimony, I kind of outlined the different market trends that we found for the various fuels. And there are some periods of fluctuation for all the fuels, but that's something we'll continue to monitor. Many different things can affect, fuel pricing, and I kind of go into those things on page 8 and 9, weather, consumption, demand, pricing, and obviously it's something that, we'll continue to look at and monitor, but yeah. Sorry.
No, it could be that part of what you're saying is nothing in particular stands out, and that's really what I'm asking is, you'll continue to. It sounds to me like your answer is we'll continue to evaluate this the way we have.
Absolutely.
There's nothing that's kind of emerged that's flagged for, nothing in particular that you want to talk about that was flagged for watching going forward.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you very much. I don't know if I don't ask.
Understand.
Thank you both.
You're welcome.
Mr. Caston.
I guess to kind of follow up on that, thinking about that, I know on page 3 and 4 of your testimony, you kind of go through, I guess, your preparation for the proceeding, what ORS reviews, and I'm assuming I don't know if it's, whether it's in your testimony, Mr. Thompson, but I suspect you too, Mr. Bickley, the prior commission order 2024-727, testimony exhibits in last year's proceeding, testimony from prior fuel proceedings, and such as that. I'm thinking about what Commissioner Carolee Williams asked, and I guess, looking at, what you talked about, looking at weather and is it hotter, is it colder, and that type thing. But do you review, like, I guess, do you do like a market trend analysis or the stuff that I think Mr. McClay was talking about, that looking at stuff that I know nothing about, market trends and kind of the stuff they look at. Do you do that kind of analysis? Or
we do. We closely monitor the market, if not on a daily, weekly basis. We see what's trending for the various fuels, whether that's coal, natural gas, and the various industries such as nuclear. So it's something we keep a close eye on, and not just myself or Mr. Bickley, but a number of different people at ORS.
See, you nod your head. You agree with that?
Yeah, yes, Commissioner, I do. ORS also has multiple publications that we utilize through that process, and we list some of those in our testimony. Things like Platts Gas Daily, Argus Coal, various tools that we have that we can use to monitor.
Well, good. I appreciate that. That not only answers my question, but I'm assuming it's part of your process of reviewing everything. What Mr. McClay and I don't remember if anybody else really talked about it. You guys look at similar stuff, and you have no question or concerns at this point in time.
No, sir.
Yeah, that is correct, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Commissioner Belser.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. Yeah, it is afternoon. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Mr. Thompson, I have a question for you, please. You were asked about your recommendation that on page 14 of your testimony regarding the quarterly forecast.
Yes.
Well, that's been your ORS's recommendation for quite some time, has it not?
It has. We just tried to keep it consistent with prior fuel cases. It's something that, we think would be beneficial for all parties. So
it's a continuing request. It's nothing new.
That's right.
And is ORS one of those interested parties that receives the quarterly forecast?
It's my understanding that we are.
Okay. Do you know if ORS has been receiving them along with other parties?
I believe we have.
Okay.
Subject to check. But yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Belser. Any further commissioner questions? Any redirect of any type?
No, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
All right. You may step down. These witnesses, ORS witnesses, will be excused.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and that concludes the ORS case.
All right. Anything further from the company?
Nothing in reply, but at the appropriate time, would like to make some brief closing remarks, if it pleases the chair.
All right. Well, that'll be open to all parties then.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. ORS and DEC have put before you a stipulation that we believe is reasonable, prudent, consistent with South Carolina law and policy, and in the public interest. After all, as required under the fuel statute, the company has made every reasonable effort to minimize fuel costs during the review period. Now, my friend on the other side, Mr. Elliott, mentioned putting us to our paces and having us meet our burden. And we feel like we've met that burden. Of establishing the reasonableness and the prudence of the company's procurement practices, the plant operations, and the fuel costs in general. But we're not the only party with a burden here. Mr. Elliott also, for the Energy Users Committee, as a party seeking to oppose the settlement, has the burden of establishing standing. And granting intervention is not tantamount to standing. The Commission's Regulations 103-804H clarifies that. And so as the party objecting to the stipulation, we have to take a look at that. We learned at the same time y'all did what SCEUC's position was with regard to the stipulation today and in this case. Best I can tell is that it was cold in January. We have absolutely no objection to continuing to provide quarterly forecasts and agree those are important tools for all parties and the Commission to have in the proceedings, and will most certainly include that in our proposed order. But the Energy Users Committee did not identify a single customer on behalf of whom it is advocating who may be harmed by the rate increase, what that level of harm is, or indeed who the client is today. And we didn't have the opportunity to figure that out either. So for that reason, the Energy Users Committee has failed to establish standing under binding U.S. Supreme Court precedent, that's Summers v. Earth Island Institute. Therefore, based on the law and the evidence, we would respectfully request that the Commission adopt the stipulation in full. And as always, we appreciate the Commission and the parties' time and attention to these important matters, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trewick. Mr. Elliott, would you like to be heard?
Mr. Chairman, I'll waive a closing, and I understand I'll have an opportunity to brief it after the hearing.
Mr. Torrey, would you like anything in closing?
Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Chair, but nothing from ORS.
Thank you. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, thank you all for your participation and hard work on this case, and we are adjourned.